For some answers and analysis, let me turn to Ray Wang. He's founder and chairman of Silicon Valley-based Constellation Research. He joins me from Mountain View, California. So Ray, what do you make of all this? Trump saying any deal would have to include a substantial amount of money coming to the U.S. Treasury. And Nathan has suggested there's no precedence. Is this even legal? Does the White House even have the authority to demand such a payment?
So it's unprecedented, but I think people are still looking at the legality of it. I think they've gone through it with their lawyers. But as a taxpayer, I'm okay with it, right? But the reality is we are in a massive U.S. versus China war, whether it's the tech war, whether it's a cyber war, whether it's a bio war, whether it's the trade deals that's going on. This is continuing, right? Because you have to remember, U.S. companies cannot operate in China either. Google can't operate. Facebook can't operate. They're behind the Great China Firewall. So this is part of this whole ongoing war that's been happening over the last 5 to 10 years. It's just accelerated more in the last 3. I mean, think about it. Apple, like some Siri patent now keeps Apple at bay in China, right? So you have a lot of these. It's tit for tat on both sides. Indeed. So I think people should recognize, like, it's intense on both sides.
So Ray, let me ask you this. You just said something a second ago. You said as a taxpayer, you're okay with it. Does that mean if this happens and the Treasury gets some payment from this sale, as taxpayers, we get some of the proceeds?
It helps the Treasury. It's revenue there. It's not going into the president's pocket. It's going into the economy. And it's actually helping out the Treasury cover debts, cover other areas. So from that perspective, it's okay, right? But when you think about the deal, right, in the end, it's really customers do pay, citizens do pay, because when a service is free, you are the product. And so your data, your privacy data is actually, whether it's owned by one government or another, owned by a corporation, it's being used. And that data being used is what's actually powering the ability to sell advertising and to create commerce opportunities.
Is this really about national security, Ray?
I really don't know. With the social media networks and how people mine those data and how they mine the data in the social media networks and the backdoors that might or might not exist in each of the governments, it could be. It could be. So I don't think you can completely rule that out, but you can also say there is a lot of political tension here, which is definitely what's happening. And Microsoft coming into the deal actually gives them an opportunity for an out and to still be in existence.
Trump has set September 15th as a deadline for TikTok to find a U.S. buyer. Are there any potential buyers besides Microsoft that you're aware of? And what happens come September 15th and there are no buyers?
Your great questions there. So Microsoft is the best buyer for this because they don't come into any antitrust issues, right? They're not in the social network today. They're not going after the commerce business that other folks are in. They're not in the ad network business as big as an Amazon or Facebook or Google. The most likely and good pairing is actually with Facebook, but they would get a ton of antitrust issues. And then, of course, Google would be a player if they want to go after it. Apple doesn't make sense. They've also said that they don't want to be in that market. And what Apple is doing is basically in a market where they don't use ads. They use subscriptions and membership. Now, come September 15th, if there's no buyer, we're talking about a massive fire sale. And the price might even get lower where other participants could jump in, maybe a Twitter, right? Maybe other companies that want to be in the social networking space that haven't been there to go after consumers or digital ads. That's the place where they want to be.
Going back to U.S. allegations that TikTok poses a national security risk, TikTok has pointed to the fact it has an American CEO and that its servers reside in the U.S. Is there anything else this company can do to ease U.S. concerns?
I think part of it is really the larger global U.S.-China conversation. We have to turn that rhetoric down. And I think we're walking into an election when only the rhetoric is going to go up. And I think it's that understanding of if you're going to have and want to play on the world stage, the terms have to be fair. Right? If there's access points for internet companies to get into the U.S., there need to be access points into China at equivalencies. And I think that's really the heart of the argument. It's not being made at the moment, but that's what has to happen. So if you're going to let Tencent and Alibaba participate in the U.S., Amazon and Google and Facebook need to be able to have access into China. And that's pretty much would solve a lot of the problems. I think we're really fighting over little issues at this moment and really exacerbating them instead of solving the root cause and the first principle, which is open trade.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Ray Wang, thank you so much.